What's going on, everybody? Welcome. We're here on the Wrestling Connection YouTube channel. My name is Chris, one of your hosts. I need to do that every video. I feel like I need to introduce myself every video because that's what we do on the podcast. Yes, this is just a quick little video talking about Impact Wrestling Hard to Kill, which I always found was such a funny pay-per-view name. They've got the classics. They've got Bound for Glory and they've got Slammiversary. Then they've got Hard to Kill and then they've got Rebellion. Stealing an old WWF pay-per-view there, Glenn won't be happy. And obviously the Hard to Kill thing was because Jericho did a podcast with Don Callis when Don Callis bought over Impact, or didn't bought over, but it was like put as head of Impact. And they said it on the podcast or whatever, and then they just made the pay-per-view called that. And then it's been like a couple of years since, so that's now one of like the yearly pay-per-views, which is quite funny. But last night was the 2021 edition of Hard to Kill, and it's funny because the Impact pay-per-views are always great. They're always got such a big buzz and that sort of thing, which is amazing. That's what you're looking for, especially for a smaller company, and just as a fan too. It's always got like that sort of intimate feeling, with the fans and that sort of thing. And then there's, what I think is really good with the Impact pay-per-views is there's always a lot of variety. I think the WWE pay-per-views can get quite lost sometimes. There's lots of similarities in the stuff, and in the matches and in the stipulations and in the finishes and that sort of thing. Whereas in the Impact pay-per-views, I do feel like there is something for everybody, except maybe like a classic legend style match, But it's always, there's a hardcore match, and there's a wrestling match, and there's a women's match, and then there's a world title main event, and then there's a first blood match, and then there's a, whatever comedy match or whatever. There's something for everybody, and which is always great. But it's so funny because last night's Hard to Kill was like built around the AEW connection, that sort of thing. There wasn't like a clear sort of world title main event match story sort of thing. The main story thing would have been the Sami Callihan and Eddie Edwards match, which has been going on for years anyway, and Barbed Wire Massacre, which I thought was really cool. And I was expecting the whole sort of like replacing the ropes with barbed wire thing, and then when I saw how they were doing it, they had like a sort of wall of cage, and they had like the sort of like spirals of barbed wire around the ropes and the barbed wire boards and that sort of thing. I actually thought that was a smarter idea because it stops it being ridiculously dangerous, it stops it damaging the ring, and it just saves so much time trying to get the ropes off and put the barbed wire on and the barbed wire off after the match and the ropes back up. It's just made more sense doing that, so I was happy with that, and the story of that match was great, and that was probably match of the night if I'm honest. Eddie Edwards, I think, is one of the best kept secrets in wrestling. He has been for ages. Every Impact pay-per-view that I see him on, I'm just like, Eddie Edwards is great. And Sami Callihan, something weird about him that I don't like. I've never really been the biggest fan. I see when he was in NXT as Solomon Crow, I was never the biggest fan of him. And now he's just having great match after great match, and Impact is really becoming a house show, so I really can't complain any more than I already do about him, So that was a great match. The women's title matches are always great in Impact. It's something that they've really worked hard at and really do a great job of. It's something that AEW could learn from, actually, is the way they build their women's division, the Knockouts division, with Deonna Purrazzo, who I think is amazing. I think Taya Valkyrie's great. They had a great match. I liked the finish too, because it was just like this really painful looking submission, and Taya just quit. That would make sense. Then they had the Knockouts tag titles earlier in the show. Big deal, the fact that they've got such a deep Knockouts roster that they're able to have a tag division. That's a big deal. WWE were kind of forced into it a little bit because they had so many great women's wrestlers. People were like, why don't you have tag titles? Why don't you have tag titles? And they went, right, okay, here's the tag titles, and we don't know how to book them. So it's a big step for Impact to do that, which is really good. And I say AEW should learn from that, but it's just because AEW don't invest too much time into the women's division quite yet anyway, and I think they could make a couple of big more signings, and that could really go a long way with that. But I thought that the women's side of things on Hard to Kill was really good too. Matt Cardona showing up, the broski, was really cool, and I kind of like that because obviously Kurt Hawkins is there, or Brian Myers is there, so it's almost like it's his pal, and he's got his pal a wee gig there, so I don't know if that's a new job for him, if he's going to stay in a contract or whatever, but I'm happy to see him there anyway. Was happy to watch a Matt Cardona performance anyway. X Division title match was good too. I like Chris Bay, not the biggest Rohit fan, like he's kind of grown on me though, and then of course TJP, Manic, I love that kind of switch between the gimmicks, that's really cool. The Karate Kid thing, brilliant. Ethan Page is so funny, and I just love how they're letting him be him and embrace himself and just be daft and stuff. I thought that was really funny, and it was really, really daft. It was exactly what it had to be, and it made me laugh, so that was good. And in the main event, Team Impact, Moose, Chris Sabin, and Impact World Champion Rich Swann are defeated by the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega, and I say Team Impact being the other team, but the Good Brothers are the Impact Tag Champions. And I like how Don Callis has kind of picked Omega as like his best pal, and he's got his tag titles, his tag champions on the same side and stuff, but it shouldn't really be versus Impact when Don Callis is the sort of managerial position in Impact, you know, so I don't know where they're going with that, whether it's like Don Callis is sacked from Impact and he joins AEW, and then what if the Good Brothers are using the Impact tag titles to get the AEW tag titles and that sort of thing, you know? Are we going to get a super pay-per-view at some point? Are we going to get Good Brothers versus Young Bucks, Rich Swann versus Omega? You know, are we going to get Darby Allin versus Manic? I mean, oh my god, just thought of that off the top of my head there, what a great match that would be. So there's lots of, and then of course you could have Shida versus Perazzo, that would be incredible too. Listen, so many possibilities, and it's just like, what are they going to do? What is too far? You know, you don't want to go too far and give too much. I quite like how they're doing it. It was really cool seeing Omega in the Impact sort of setting and that sort of thing. It was really cool. Felt like a big deal. Also want to shout out the new commentary team. Matt Striker and D'Lo Brown. Brilliant. They did a great job, I thought. I mean, not that Josh Matthews and Don Callis weren't a great team, but Josh Matthews has been the voice of that company for a long time. Nothing wrong with shaking up a little bit, you know, and I heard that Josh got promoted, which is good for him. Friend of the show, done a wee intro for the Wrestling Connection, which you can see here on the channel, I believe. And yeah, I thought D'Lo Brown and Matt Striker were great, and we love D'Lo on the show, you know, we always like Matt Striker too, so big thumbs up, hopefully, hopefully it'll be that going forward and they continue to work really well together. My problem with Impact is that I can never stick to it. I watch the pay-per-view and I really enjoy it, and then come Tuesday or whenever the show's on, I just don't stick to it, you know, so I really need to treat it just as big as Raw, SmackDown and AEW, and I think I'll benefit from that because they do have some really good shows and some really good wrestlers as always. So thumbs up to another great Impact pay-per-view, Hard to Kill. Check it out on Fight or on Impact Plus, wherever you find it. And until next time, guys, thank you very much here on the Wrestling Connection YouTube channel. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and listen to the new episodes of the Wrestling Connection every single Sunday on your favourite podcasting outlet. Cheers.